The UK Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng cut short his visit to Washington and returned to London for urgent talks with the Prime Minister Liz Truss. Pressure had been mounting on Number 10 and the Treasury to reverse planned tax cuts after they spooked financial markets with a mini-budget. Well, now there are reports that Kwasi Kwarteng has been to Number 10 and it's yet to be officially confirmed, but outlets are saying that Kwasi Kwarteng is no longer Chancellor, that he has been sacked, making him the second shortest serving UK Chancellor in history. He had set out plans to scrap taxes on high earners. That is a decision that was already reversed. There's also speculation that a U-turn on reducing taxes on businesses could be announced later today. When his so-called mini-budget was revealed a little under 3 weeks ago, the Bank of England responded by rising interest rates, and also stepped in to buy long-term government bonds in a bid to promote financial stability. But the Bank of England's bond buying drive ends very soon, and this economic and political crisis sparked questions over Kwasi Kwarteng's future. He insisted only in the last 24 hours that his job was safe, saying, "I'm not going anywhere." But according to a YouGov poll, 43% of Conservative voters said they wanted a new Prime Minister in Downing Street, and that may well have contributed to this decision to come back from Washington very quickly, a last-minute decision to do that. And now it seems he has been sacked as Chancellor. Well, for more on this, we can speak to our London correspondent, Alex Isaac, now. She's live with us. Alex, what are we hearing from Downing Street?
Well, we haven't heard very much from Downing Street themselves. They did confirm that Liz Truss will be holding a press conference later. And there are the rumours that you did mention there that the Chancellor has already been sacked. That's the reason potentially why he left the US early. Now, this is, it seems, all for trying to keep Truss's survival going. She has lost a lot of credibility since she took on the role as the leadership as the contest leader. And so it will be interesting to see exactly what happens. We haven't got it actually confirmed yet that he has been displaced, but it does seem that she may need a scapegoat, as she's constantly doing these U-turns, all these policies that she set out in the hustings when she was going against Rishi Sunak.
It's not an ideal situation for the Prime Minister. She's not been in post for very long. All of a sudden, she's announcing these big plans that she says are going to help drive growth, to help the economy, which of course has been struggling post-COVID, and then also because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And then she's faced with these low approval ratings, and now it seems potentially shattering that cabinet that she's built. So what do we think this might mean for Liz Truss? And we're expecting to hear more from her in around an hour and a half's time. So, Alex, do you think that she's going to set out a future plan and, as you say, potentially pin a lot of these decisions on Kwasi Kwarteng?
Well, the interesting thing, no matter what she sets out in her announcement, I mean, we've heard some of these announcements before. She said that she would hold strong a number of times. Actually, just before the last U-turn with the 45p tax there, she said that nothing was changing. And then quickly, overnight, that changed again. So it does feel that a lot of people aren't going to really take what she says that seriously. She has lost a lot of credibility. She is fighting for her own survival, and her own members seem to be wanting her out. There's been a lot of talk and chatter on social media with her own backbenchers who are suggesting that she isn't up for the job. And if she does pin it on the Chancellor, then that is just one person that she did ultimately choose. So there are a lot of people ready to backstab her. They're suggesting that there's only potentially 16 more days that she's got left until she could well be gone herself. And who will take her place? Well, Rishi Sunak is a potential, and Penny Mordaunt are both there. They did try and vie for the leadership at the beginning. Penny Mordaunt was one of the ones that fell earlier, whereas Rishi Sunak obviously lasted until the very last moment. But if he does step in, it would be against a lot of those members that did vote for Liz Truss. And a lot of her economic growth plans, although they do seem a little bit controversial, controversial, there is something that needs to change within the economics to help boost the marketplace, especially for the UK, for the pound and for the guild, which are still going up and down every day that there is an announcement. There needs to be some kind of stability, and whether or not Liz Truss can give that in an announcement today is wait and see, really.
Alex Isaac in London, thank you. Well, for more on this, we can speak to economist and geopolitical strategist Mark Brolin now. He also joins us live from London. Mark, the markets have been responding quite quickly to all these economic announcements that have come from the Conservative government of late. Are we seeing any shifts now that we're seeing the speculation that perhaps Kwasi Kwarteng is no longer Chancellor? What do you anticipate that they're going to do?
Well, already yesterday, people were anticipating the tax U-turn once again, and the markets went up. So I think that has to happen. I think that there will be two stories in the press conference later this afternoon. One of them will probably be, as Alex was saying, the sacking of Kwasi Kwarteng, and the second one will be a U-turn again on a tax. And if that doesn't happen, the markets will react negatively. So that's already sort of compounded into the market sentiment. And as Alex was saying as well, I think definitely Liz Truss is trying to save herself by sacking Kwasi Kwarteng after a couple of spectacular own goals on her behalf. But I think there is also more than meets the eye to this story, because the markets are now actually dictating of sorts what's happening in Downing Street, and that's a spectacular side story as well that hasn't been, as I see it, talked sufficiently about.
A lot of the narrative coming out of Number 10 about these fluctuations in the market and the economy and the struggles that have seemingly arisen in the UK here has been that actually it is the war in Ukraine that's responsible for this. Is that true? Can we actually say that those decisions that were made by the Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss to scrap that 45p tax rate, to reduce corporation tax as well, do we actually know that that was more responsible for these shifts in the UK markets and the fall in sterling than the war in Ukraine?
Well, I think the war in Ukraine has actually not. That's easy to blame everything on that, but that's not certainly not the full story. And what's interesting here as well is that much of her party is actually with Liz Truss as opposed to what she wants to do, but they think she has done it in a clumsy way, and she has, because she was sort of promising a radical agenda, insurgent agenda, and sort of was proud about that, a little bit in the vein of Jeremy Corbyn, just going the other way. Whereas she could have argued, which probably had been much more politically astute, that she was backtracking from excess. And if we look at the money market, it has been very excessive. Low interest rates, unprecedented for actually decades. And she could have argued that we now need to take things back a few notches. If she had done that, it would be a different story, I think. But then again, we have all these pension funds and the market big beasts who have reacted negatively to anything anything that Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss have been saying, and their influence is. Nobody wants to talk so much about them, because now we have the perfect opportunity. I think the party is trying to subdue Liz Truss and Downing Street, and they are managing in that respect. So they are not talking sufficiently about how the market big beasts have also been key players in this story.
So, Mark, just finally, how vital is it for Liz Truss to make the right decisions now? Everything must be basically walking on eggshells to make sure that those moves that are made do not shake the markets even further.
Oh, yes, that's a great question. And it's absolutely vital to her own survival. She can't make any more mistakes anymore. Then she will be gone. We can say, if we use football terms, that she has definitely been given a yellow card by her party. But from their respect, this might actually be a good thing in a way, because she has had some sort of sentiment and not everyone in the party have liked. And now they have been able to subdue her. Now she will not lead the party anymore. The party will lead her. And many MPs might cool down when this has happened, if everything happens according to rumours this afternoon. There might be a period when actually things calm down a bit, and she might be able to get more people on board to sort of support her story. And the next things coming out over the coming weeks in relation to the budget will probably be more secured within the party. That was one of the big mistakes when the mini budget was presented. That was sort of a two-person thing between Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, and they hadn't really secured any support and discussed it with either the cabinet or the Bank of England or anyone really. And they are not going. Liz Truss is not going to repeat that mistake, and her new chancellor are going to have to secure everything they do within the party before it's announced, and that means that she will get the support straight after every presentation. That might have happened. That might happen actually even this afternoon. So I think this will be her last play. If she commits more mistakes, she will be gone. But if she stays on the course now and does what her party tells her to do, I think she does have a fighting chance.
Mark Brolin, economist and geopolitical strategist, thank you so much for that insight. And just to recap